The first open house took place 3 days later, and Grandma approached it with the enthusiasm of a general preparing for battle. My parents were excited. The real estate agent was optimistic. The potential buyers arrived smiling. None of them understood what they were walking into. Grandma greeted the first group at the front door wearing an old black shawl and carrying a lantern she had found somewhere in the attic. It was noon. The sun was shining. The lantern wasn't even turned on. "Welcome," she whispered dramatically. "Please stay together. The spirits become confused when visitors separate." The buyers exchanged nervous glances. The real estate agent laughed awkwardly. Grandma didn't. She led them into the living room. "This room is beautiful," one woman said. Grandma nodded. "Most people say that." The woman smiled. "Most people? Before the piano starts playing by itself." The smile disappeared instantly. The piano in question hadn't worked in 15 years. Unfortunately for the buyers, I was hiding in the hallway with a small wireless speaker. A moment later, eerie piano music floated through the room. 3 people immediately stepped backward. The agent looked like he wanted to quit his job. Things only got worse from there. In the dining room, Grandma explained that every Thursday at exactly midnight, the chandelier spun slowly on its own while invisible voices argued about tax regulations. In the kitchen, she warned everyone never to open the third cabinet because something inside gets lonely. Nobody opened it. The attic tour was even better. Grandma climbed the stairs and lowered her voice. "This area contains a portal." "A portal?" a buyer asked. "To another dimension." The buyer laughed. Grandma didn't. Neither did I. Right on schedule, hidden speakers produced strange humming noises from behind the walls. The entire group practically ran back downstairs. By the end of the first weekend, 6 potential buyers had fled. One woman refused to enter the driveway. Another demanded proof that the house wasn't cursed. Grandma happily informed her that no such proof existed. My parents were furious. Grandma was having the time of her life. Then a new visitor arrived. At first glance he seemed ordinary enough. Tall. Well-dressed. Expensive suit. Confident smile. The kind of wealthy investor who usually looked at houses as numbers on a spreadsheet. But unlike everyone else, he wasn't scared. Grandma informed him that the basement was haunted by the ghost of a tax auditor. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his coffee. She claimed a ghostly raccoon lived inside the walls. He asked whether the raccoon charged rent. She told him the attic portal occasionally connected to dimensions populated entirely by lawyers. His eyes watered from laughing. For the first time since this madness started, Grandma looked surprised. Most people ran away. This man seemed delighted. The stranger attended the next open house. And the one after that. Each time Grandma invented something more ridiculous. Each time he enjoyed it even more. Soon they were trading jokes during the tours. He teased her about her fake hauntings. She teased him about showing up every weekend despite allegedly searching for investment properties. The chemistry between them was impossible to miss. Even I noticed it. The strange investor looked at Grandma like she was the most entertaining person in the world. And Grandma, despite all her stubbornness, was starting to enjoy the attention. One afternoon, after another successful sabotage session, she watched the man leave and smiled slightly. "Interesting fellow," she admitted. I raised an eyebrow. "Interesting enough to stop pretending the basement is haunted?" She laughed. "Let's not get carried away." Neither of us knew it yet, but that eccentric visitor wasn't just another rich buyer. He was hiding a secret far stranger than anything Grandma had invented. And somehow, the craziest part of this entire story was only beginning. Over the next few weeks, the mysterious investor became a regular visitor. At this point, nobody believed he was actually interested in buying the house. Not even my parents. Every weekend he appeared with the same relaxed smile and listened patiently while Grandma invented increasingly ridiculous reasons why nobody should ever purchase the property. Most people would have run away. He kept coming back. One Saturday, Grandma informed him that the dining room table was cursed. "What does the curse do?" he asked. "It causes uncontrollable honesty." The man nodded seriously. "Terrifying." Another weekend she claimed the backyard squirrel population had established a monarchy and demanded tribute. Instead of leaving, he spent 20 minutes discussing possible tax policies for squirrel kingdoms. By the time they finished talking, both of them were laughing so hard they could barely stand. Watching them together was honestly strange. Grandma hadn't seemed this happy in years. The investor clearly enjoyed every second of her company. Meanwhile, my parents were becoming increasingly confused. "Why does he keep returning?" my father asked one evening. "Maybe he likes haunted houses," I suggested. Dad groaned. "Nobody likes haunted houses." From the living room, Grandma shouted, "I do!" The strangest revelation happened completely by accident. One night I was helping Grandma set up another fake haunting when I noticed unusual lights behind the barn. Curious, I went to investigate. What I found nearly made me fall over. The investor was standing beside what looked suspiciously like a spacecraft. Not an airplane. Not a helicopter. An actual spacecraft. Smooth metallic surface. Glowing blue lights. Technology that definitely did not belong on Earth. The man sighed when he saw me. "Well," he said calmly, "this is awkward." I stared at him. Then at the ship. Then back at him. "You're an alien." "Technically, yes." "Technically?" "My species prefers the term interstellar entrepreneur." I sat down on an old crate because my legs suddenly stopped working. Oddly enough, he seemed amused by my reaction. Over the next hour, he explained everything. He owned companies across multiple star systems. His personal fortune was so large that several planets used his businesses as economic benchmarks. He had visited Earth because humans fascinated him. Most advanced civilizations became predictable after reaching a certain level of development. Humans apparently did the opposite. They became weirder. The investor found that delightful. "Your grandmother," he admitted, "is the most entertaining individual I've ever met." I laughed. "That's probably true." Then he surprised me. "I never wanted to buy the house." I blinked. "What?" "The property is nice," he said. "But I returned because of her." Suddenly everything made sense. The endless visits. The laughter. The ridiculous conversations. The way he looked at Grandma whenever she wasn't paying attention. The man was completely smitten. A few days later, I finally confronted Grandma. She was baking cookies when I asked the obvious question. "You like him, don't you?" Grandma nearly dropped a spoon. "Nonsense. You spent 40 minutes arguing with him about ghost union regulations. That was an important discussion. You made him cookies." Her face turned slightly red. I had never seen that happen before. Not even once. The following weekend, things became even more obvious. Grandma gave her usual tour, explaining that a phantom raccoon controlled the attic portal and occasionally issued parking tickets. Instead of laughing immediately, the investor simply watched her speak. There was genuine affection in his eyes. When the tour ended, the two of them sat on the porch for hours. Talking. Laughing. Sharing stories. For the first time in a long time, Grandma looked truly content. What neither of them realized was that my parents had already scheduled a final meeting to complete the sale. They believed they had one last chance to save the deal. Unfortunately for them, they had no idea they were about to challenge the most stubborn grandmother on Earth and an alien billionaire who had completely fallen in love with her. The results were going to be spectacular. The day I discovered my parents were selling Grandma's house started with a notification on my phone and ended with Grandma threatening to become a ghost out of pure spite. I wish I were exaggerating. I had stopped by Grandma's place for lunch. She lived alone in the old family house, a giant creaky building she'd owned for nearly 50 years. Every room held memories. Every wall had photographs. Every piece of furniture had a story attached to it, whether anyone wanted to hear it or not. Grandma was sitting in her favorite recliner, arguing with her tablet. "Why does this thing keep showing me advertisements for retirement homes?" she demanded as I walked inside. That should have been my first warning. While she disappeared into the kitchen, I glanced at the tablet screen. Then I nearly choked. There was a real estate listing. Not just any listing. Grandma's house. The photos showed her living room, her garden, her porch, and somehow even her bedroom. The description claimed the property was vacant and ready for immediate transition. I looked around. Grandma was literally baking cookies 10 feet away. The house was about as vacant as a zoo during feeding time. I immediately called my parents. My father answered with suspicious confidence. "Oh, you saw the listing." "Saw it?" I asked. "You're selling Grandma's house while Grandma is still inside it. It's an investment decision. She's sitting in the kitchen making cookies." "Exactly," Dad replied. "She should be somewhere safer." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. When I informed Grandma, she slowly removed her reading glasses and stared at the listing. The silence lasted almost a full minute. Then she started reading the description aloud. "Modernized interior," she said. "I haven't changed that wallpaper since 1987. She kept scrolling. "Peaceful atmosphere." She barked a laugh. "Last week a raccoon got trapped in the chimney." Another scroll. "Perfect opportunity for new beginnings." Grandma narrowed her eyes. "Oh, they're getting a new beginning all right." That evening the entire family gathered for dinner. The moment my parents arrived, Grandma slid the tablet across the table. Nobody touched their food. Dad cleared his throat. "We were going to tell you." "When?" Grandma asked. "After strangers started measuring my living room?" Mom attempted a smile. "We found a wonderful retirement community." Grandma stared at her. "I survived 3 economic recessions, raised 4 children, and once fought a male thief with a garden hose." Mom slowly looked away. Grandma pointed toward the window. "This house is mine." Dad tried a different approach. "The property value has doubled." "Good," Grandma said. "Then I'll enjoy owning an expensive house." The argument lasted nearly an hour. Every reasonable suggestion my parents offered crashed directly into Grandma's legendary stubbornness. Finally, Dad announced that the listing would stay active. Big mistake. Grandma stood up and smiled. That smile terrified me. It was the same smile she'd worn when she accidentally got banned from a local bingo tournament for excessive competitiveness. "Fine," she said sweetly. "If people want tours, they'll get tours." Mom frowned. "What does that mean?" Grandma's smile widened. "It means every potential buyer is about to learn things about this house that aren't in the brochure." I could practically hear the alarm bells ringing. As my parents left, Grandma sat back down and opened the listing again. She studied every photograph carefully. Then she looked at me. "You're helping me." "Helping you do what?" She leaned forward. "Protect my house." I should have said no. Instead, I smiled. Because after what my parents had pulled, I couldn't wait to see what Grandma had planned. And judging by the mischievous sparkle in her eyes, every future buyer was about to have the worst house tour in real estate history. The final sale meeting was scheduled for the following Saturday. My parents arrived early. The real estate agent arrived carrying paperwork. Several investors appeared. Everyone seemed convinced the house would finally be sold. Grandma showed up carrying a plate of cookies and looking completely unbothered. I knew that expression. It was the same one she wore right before winning arguments nobody expected her to win. Dad immediately launched into his presentation. "The offers are excellent," he said. "The property market is strong. The timing is perfect." Grandma took a bite of a cookie. "Interesting." That was all she said. Then the investor arrived. The room instantly became more energetic. My parents practically glowed. They assumed he was finally there to purchase the house. After all, he attended nearly every open house. Surely he was the perfect buyer. The real estate agent handed him a contract. The investor glanced at it. Then he smiled. "I'm not buying the house." The room went silent. Dad blinked. What? I'm not interested in purchasing the property. My mother's jaw nearly hit the floor. But you've been visiting for weeks. Yes. Then why are you here? The investor looked directly at Grandma. Because of her. For the first time in my life, I watched Grandma become speechless. It lasted almost 3 seconds. A new personal record. The investor calmly placed several documents on the table. I did make a purchase. Everyone leaned forward. He slid the papers toward my parents. I purchased every property surrounding this one. Nobody understood what he meant. Then the realization hit. The neighboring houses. The empty lots. The undeveloped land. Everything. He had bought all of it. Every single parcel. The entire neighborhood. Dad looked like he might faint. You bought the neighborhood? The investor nodded. Correct. Why? He smiled. To make sure this house remains exactly where it is. The room exploded into chaos. My parents argued. The real estate agent panicked. The investors complained. Grandma laughed so hard she nearly spilled her tea. Then the investor decided things weren't chaotic enough. He revealed the truth. Not the partial truth. The entire truth. Including the fact that he was an alien. A genuine extraterrestrial billionaire. Oddly enough, that wasn't even the strangest thing anyone had heard that month. The investor explained everything. The spacecraft. The interstellar companies. The absurd level of wealth. The fascination with humanity. More specifically, his fascination with one stubborn human. When he finished speaking, he turned toward Grandma. The room became quiet. I've traveled across hundreds of worlds, he said. I've met leaders, explorers, scientists, and heroes. Grandma crossed her arms. Get to the point. He smiled. You are the most extraordinary person I've ever met. Even I had to admit that was smooth. Grandma tried very hard not to smile. She failed. Spectacularly. Then came the question nobody expected. Would you consider traveling the galaxy with me? My parents looked horrified. I looked fascinated. Grandma looked thoughtful. For nearly a minute she said nothing. Finally she nodded. I have conditions. The investor laughed. I expected that. First, I keep my house. Done. Second, nobody touches my cookie recipes. Agreed. Third, if your spaceship doesn't have comfortable chairs, I'm not going. The alien billionaire immediately promised to upgrade the furniture. Just like that, the deal was settled. A month later, Grandma officially became the owner of the most famous house in town. The property was transformed into a tourist attraction. Visitors came from everywhere to hear stories about haunted raccoons, ghost tax auditors, and interdimensional lawyer portals. The attraction became so successful that it generated more money than the original sale ever would have. The sign outside proudly read, "The haunted house that refused to be sold." The funniest part was what happened to my parents. Grandma hired them. Not out of revenge. At least that's what she claimed. Dad managed ticket sales. Mom worked the gift shop. Every day they sold souvenir ghost raccoons to tourists. Grandma never let them forget it. As for the alien billionaire, he divided his time between Earth and the stars. Whenever he visited, he and Grandma could usually be found sitting on the porch together, laughing about something ridiculous. Their romance made absolutely no sense. Which was probably why it worked so well. Looking back, the entire situation taught me something important. Humans have many remarkable qualities. We build civilizations. We explore impossible frontiers. We overcome incredible challenges. But our greatest strength might be simple stubbornness. Because when one determined grandmother decided she wasn't leaving her home, she didn't just save her house. She gained a fortune, found unexpected love among the stars, and somehow outsmarted everyone involved, including an entire galaxy. And honestly, that sounds exactly like something my grandma would do.